Okay, I'm not a public speaker. In my role of city council, I speak in 15-second sound bites, so 15 minutes might be a bit of a stretch, but I can ramble. So you guys are in for a treat. So I own a bridal boutique, and I sit on city council. So I couldn't decide which one was better, running a self-awareness campaign or say yes to the self-awareness. So a bit about me. Everybody asks me, why do you have a Chinese last name? You're a white girl in the middle of Canada. Well, short answer. Husband's family immigrated from China down to Malaysia, and in the 50s it was a British colony. So it depended on whatever found. So all the brothers and sisters went into different lineups. Some of us got the I, some of us got the O, some of us got the U. My particular lineage got the apostrophe. So that's how, it was just some random British officer just put a little tick instead of an I. And that's how it ended up in Thunder Bay. So it's my husband's line. So I own a bridal boutique, sit on city council. I have this compelling need to serve, which drives me. I don't know why. It's a call of a wild. And I just run, and I don't know how to describe it other than that. I'm also a payroll member, and I have a line of credit at Copperfin, so thank you. Go Copperfin. So, what am I talking about? Self-awareness. And I'm not like super hippy-dippy about this. When Charlotte asked me to speak for 15 minutes about any topic I want, I'm like, oh, what do I say? Oh, goodness. So self-awareness, because I think it's extremely important. But what is it? It's the conscious knowledge of one's own character and feelings and motives and desires, not to be confused with self-consciousness, which is just like, hey, I'm alive. But this is, we're all alive, but the conscious knowledge of your own desires and motives. So why study it? As a woman in politics and business, it's extremely important to know what we're all about and how we're interacting with people, because we get judged so hard, mainly by our mothers, but we do, and we're so hard on ourselves. So it's proactively managing our thoughts and emotions. It helps us find peace and compassion. It helps us understand our own world and also the world we're living in, and it's a study in self-control. So I'm going to give you 3 examples of things in my life, and the 2 things that kind of guide me. So, first day of university class was September 11th, 2001. Very auspicious day. It was the first day of political science. Trade Center goes down, and I'm enrolled in politics, and it just completely, we had like a paradigm shift. That was the first day of classes, and my university professor, Doug West, he said, who knows Doug West? Yeah, woohoo! Go poli-sci, LU. He said, 2 things you need to know in life. These are the only 2 things. So I'm like, okay, first day of class, write it down. Know yourself and nothing in excess. $17,000, a 4-year degree. I'm giving it to you for free. It's all yours, ladies. So yeah, I paid money for that. See, I'm not a speaker, so I'm just like going to be glancing at my notes every now and then. Okay, let's go to my first example. So how do I know myself and nothing in excess myself? I should have thought about that before I said it. So I like to go through scenarios and how I would react to things. So when I said yes to Charlotte Brown when she asked me to speak at this event, I was like, yeah, sure, Charlotte, yeah, any events are great, whatever. Helping women, go. Then I'm like, what did I just sign up for? So I run through various scenarios as a way to test myself, and I'm hoping that maybe you'll understand some of these scenarios. So one scenario, what happens, Shelby, if you're the last speaker? Literally, I wrote that down before I found out I was the last speaker, so I'm like, this is fitting. Everybody's tired and they're just not motivated, but I mean, you guys are like, ooh, nobody's on their phones. Oh, I saw your head pop up. Just kidding. I'm watching you. So yeah, what if, and then, or what happens if you're judged, or you say embarrassing things? What happens if this camera catches your double chin and all your gums? Like these things go through your minds, and like, how do you feel about that? And you're just like, oh, that's scary. But then if you already kind of walked yourself through the emotional trauma of seeing this, then you can prepare yourself for it, and it doesn't feel as bad when it actually happens. Just did it a third time. The third time didn't feel anything. It's like, so then you have to find a friendly face in the audience too. That's you. I mean, and then you just kind of work with the person, and then, oh, you're kind of friendly. It's not so bad, right? You're not scared. You're not nervous. Well, I'm always nervous, but not as nervous. You look friendly. What if I blank out? What if Donald Trump blows us up? Okay, that one, we have a lot more things to worry about. But these are the things I go through. So I run through a whole series of what ifs, what ifs, what ifs, and just follow them through. Okay, how do I act? How do I feel? Okay, that's not so bad. Oh, that's really bad. But then you learn to come up with a plan B. And it's knowing how you're going to act in these situations. Some of the more stressful things, like going to a ward meeting and having people yell at you about their taxes. That is really stressful. So how do I handle that? I make sure that I'm knowledgeable about the things that are coming up, like roundabouts. Where's the lady from England? God bless you and your people for roundabouts, okay? They're coming to Thunder Bay. We're getting one. Kenora has one already. We're getting one. Okay. Yeah, so it's preparing yourself for those situations and knowing how you're going to act and understand yourself. Example number 2. Ask yourself questions about things. So I was, how old was I at this time? Graduated university. I was working at Future Shop, putting myself through university. So I'm like, gotta get this desk job, this infamous desk job. So I took a 6-month contract designed to help people get their ultimate jobs or move on to an actual career. And I applied for this one particular job while I was there, and I got an interview. And I was like 21, I think, I was like, well, this job is as good as mine. They must think I'm super qualified and I'm awesome and super entitled Shelby at 21. I was entitled. It's going down, but I was. I mean, you guys could all identify in your 20s. You look back and that's so dumb. So I get to this interview, got my nice little suit from Susie Shear. And yeah. You know the one with the matching pantsuit? I was like rocking the Hillary Clinton. I get there thinking, I'm just going to be the only one. They're going to like maybe serve me some tea. Got my little job interview questions all lined out. I get there. The place is packed. There's 5 people before me, and I'm like, you're seeing other people? And I had the interview. I drew a blank on so many questions, and I get out, and there's so many people after me. I was totally bummed, and I'm just like, why me? Oh, this is terrible. And I actually had Rosanna Scafeo. Does anybody know Rosanna Scafeo? Okay, okay, one. That's fine, that's fine. She's awesome. So she was kind of my mentor at the time. And when I didn't get the job, she pretty much said to me, okay, she is the nicest, most awesome person you'll probably ever meet in your life. She got this message across to me, and she's a word wizard, because when I look back, she totally said words to me that I needed to hear at the time, but I didn't really understand the full context of it until I grew up and looked back at that. She pretty much said, Shelbs, I really doubt you have the job set of skills to do that job, and this is just going to be time for you to focus on developing your skill set, so when that real job comes along, you know exactly what to do and how to handle it. And I mean, she was not, that sounds a little bit mean and harsh. She was super nice about it. And I'm like, oh yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to work on my skill set. So I don't remember exactly what she said, but it's also asking yourself why you wanted that job in the first place. What value would it add? And looking back, I just wanted that desk job. That's all I wanted. And I didn't really care about anything else. But why? I needed to ask myself why. And now when these situations happen, or opportunities present themselves, why do I want to do this? What value does it add? Why do I want this job? And it's not to answer for an employer, it's to answer for yourself. What am I doing with my life? I usually just ask myself that question regardless. And why it works and why it doesn't work. So I think asking ourselves some tough questions like, okay, do I have the skill set? And it's not being critical, it's understanding what you bring to any situation. So asking yourself questions really helps frame things. So back then, knowing what I know now about the organization, I would have been crucified if I got that job. I probably would have been fired, and I would be telling a different story right now. Example number 3. So this is, fast forward, so that was in maybe 2003, 4. I think I graduated in 2004. 5? I don't remember. I was in my early 20s. So I ended up getting a job at the Northern Ontario School of Medicine as an administrative assistant, developed my skill sets, listening, writing notes, paying attention to people, and I actually got a promotion. So I became a medical education programmer. Great job. Got my desk job, got my RSPs, going to work. Hello, how's it going? Got my coffee. Check the clock, log in, check my RSPs. Okay, I can retire in 52 years. Awesome. And it started, like the job was great. My employees were my employees. I get used to saying colleagues at that time. They were awesome. I made lasting friendships, but I was bored, and I started experiencing some symptoms. I started getting restless. I couldn't sit still for long, get in trouble for talking too much. I started experiencing depression and fatigue. I was always tired and complaining, sleeplessness, irritability, and I'd also have these creative outbursts. So I'd pick up a new craft and maybe this will fill my life somehow. And oh God, my husband and I fought so much about my crafting projects. But I was looking for something to feel good about, and and I wasn't feeling it. So what was I suffering from? So asking myself some questions and understanding my self-awareness and who I am as much as I think running to a doctor to get a prescription is good for some people, I feel like this was my first step, is asking myself questions. So I found I had a lot of time on my hands, and I was just pacing in a cage in my mind, overanalyzing myself and my life and my relationships, and I really lacked mental discipline. So when Lisa was speaking earlier about the discipline it takes to be a fitness, to be a bodybuilder, I completely lacked mental discipline because I just let my mind run amok, watching reruns of The Bachelor, and I didn't volunteer as much. I started volunteering with the shift group, but it wasn't fulfilling me. So what I did about it, I quit my job. So at the time, my husband proposed. Well, he was my fiance at the time. No, he was my boyfriend at the time. Then he proposed, became my fiance. He proposed, and he said, "Yeah, will you marry me?" I said yes. Then I was looking for a dress, and I'm like, "It's just going to be like say yes to the dress," and it wasn't. So you're shopping around, and you're like, "Why? I could do this. I can make this experience happen in Thunder Bay," and that's what I did. And I ran for city politics, and I started volunteering, and I started to. So these are my extremes. So in a few years, I went from a quiet desk job to owning a business, hiring employees, running for council, getting elected to council, which I still don't know how I did. Chairing the BIA, which is a huge volunteer commitment, volunteering for events, countless meetings and committees. It's safe to say it was busy, but I loved it. So my lifestyle, my symptoms disappeared for a while. My life was planned out in my calendar with places to go, meetings, things to do, places to go. Yeah, you get the picture. I spent a lot of time working and volunteering. While finding happiness, I felt happy for so long. It did come at a cost to my personal relationships, and my symptoms started reappearing. So last year, I was just taking on so much work and just trying to be everything to everybody, saying yes to everything, that I was finding I was burning myself out. I was finding I was sleepless, restless, depression, irritability. I didn't cry for like 6 years. I cried a few times, which crying's okay. I just want to put that out there. But when you don't do it for a while, you see it as a symptom of a problem. So, what happened? Okay, I want to say that this sounds way more glamorous than it actually was. November 4th, we got a phone call. So, from Damien's family in Malaysia, saying that his father was on business in Bangkok and he collapsed in his hotel room. And we didn't know what was going on at the time. And we needed somebody to go over there to help manage affairs. So his, Damien's stepmom over there, she was a stay-at-home wife, not very worldly with how to fill out paperwork, and like a wonderful woman, but it was a toll on her, so she needed somebody there. And it turns out, ironically enough, I was the only one that was able to drop everything at a moment's notice and go. Because I have a business and great employees, and it was a slow time of year, and city council, you could really bug off for 3 months without getting in trouble. I don't recommend it, I've never done it, but I just said I need to go. November 17th, I was on an airplane to spend a month in the Bangkok hospital with him. I went from extreme quiet, or extreme busy, to extreme quiet. And as much as I was there for him and for his wife, just to organize things and be there for an emotional support, I also, in hindsight, really needed it for myself. He was in a coma for the most part, so he had something called AVM. He has something called AVM. He's still alive. Just want to put that out there. And it's where the veins in your head overgrow, and it's not tumorous, but it burst. And so he pretty much had 3 strokes in one. He's back in Malaysia now. He's able to talk and walk, and he's doing really well. And I'm very fortunate to have been there for the family. And in a way, that month in Thailand has caused my life to come full circle. I was able to realize that I was leading a life of excess. I really lost sight of who I was and the things I wanted and the things that were important to me. And I gained a perspective and a great appreciation of my own self-awareness. So those reindeer lights in the park that have been out for 3 days really didn't mean that much. Or that one pothole that is driving a person insane, I really don't need to feel that. I can deal with it, but it's just understanding that, I don't need to be emotionally invested into everything into such an extreme way. Takeaways. Don't be afraid to ask yourself questions, and tough questions. Like, give yourself a little bit of tough love. Also be forgiving of yourself. So asking yourself questions is the first step to knowing yourself. And sometimes it's not always about saying yes or no to a situation, but evaluating the extremes that come along with that, that make our lives unbalanced. We heard a lot today about how when you get into a certain mindset, and then somebody might come along and give you a little story about horses, and then you realize, maybe this was an extreme, and then you're pulling it back, and you're finding a new balance in your life. So I hope you ladies got a lot out of this. I feel like I should end on I'm ending soon, 2 more minutes. Plug for running for politics. Okay, so my speech is officially ended. Politics. If anybody in this room is looking to run for city council, please contact me. There's Women in Politics group. Where's Wendy Landry? Did she make it back? Okay. Oh, Roz is. Oh, yeah, Roz. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Women in Politics is a group that helps women across. Is it Thunder Bay or Northern Ontario? Northwestern Ontario, because Rebecca Johnson's in Fort Frances right now giving a speech about women in politics. It sounds super scary. Okay, you see a bunch of old men and. Am I going to regret I said that? I don't know. I'm not scared. Jumping off. It's super intimidating, I'm going to tell you. My mom didn't learn how to read until I was 15. So I'm always trying to prove that I'm smart enough to run in that group. And I'm always questioning myself, like, do I belong here? Do I fit in? You know what? If I can do it, you guys can do it too. There's no reason why somebody cannot consider running for politics. All I'm asking you to do is think about it, and then probably do it. But think about it, because we need single moms, we need females, we need people from the LGBTQ, all the other ones. Like, we need people of diversity in our council. So I'm putting a call out to run for council. Okay, I'm done.